For 4 years under Joe Biden and the Democrats, this country witnessed an invasion at our southern border. It is an invasion that has no precedent in the history of our country. 12 million illegal immigrants were allowed to come into this country. And that was deliberate. It was not an accident. It was not negligence. It was a deliberate choice that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas and every Democrat senator and House member made. They looked at 12 million illegal immigrants and they saw what they believed would be future Democrat voters. And they were willing to allow Americans to be murdered, American women to be raped, American children to be brutalized by violent criminals day after day after day. In his first 71 days in office, President Biden released 184,241 illegal immigrants. That was a decision. By the way, it was a lawless decision. Federal immigration law says they shall be deported. No president has ever done what this administration did, which is say, we don't care about the law. We are all about partisan politics, and we're going to let them all go. And God help the communities we release them into. His first 71 days, Joe Biden averaged 2,600 releases per day. Let's compare that to the same 71-day period in 2025 under President Trump. Joe Biden, 184,241. Donald Trump, 9. Not 9,000, not 900, 9. That is a 99.995% reduction. At the State of the Union address, Democrats did something else unprecedented. They decided they wouldn't stand for the president. They wouldn't applaud for the president. The only thing they would do is emanate hate and rage for the president of the United States. So Alexis Nungaray was at the State of the Union address. I've gotten to know Alexis well, the mother of Jocelyn Nungaray, a beautiful 12-year-old girl raped and murdered in my hometown of Houston. The Democrats sat there and wouldn't applaud for the mother whose baby girl was taken from her. President Trump at the State of the Union address said last year Joe Biden stood before Congress and said he could not secure the border unless Congress passed new legislation. And as President Trump pointed out, it turned out we didn't need new legislation, we just needed a new president. You look at gotaways. Under Joe Biden, over 3 million gotaways. Who are gotaways? They're the most concerning of all of the 12 million that came into this country, because gotaways are the illegal immigrants we know were here. We see signs of them, we see tracks, but they didn't turn themselves in. Gotaways are much, much more likely to be murderers, much more likely to be rapists, much more likely to be child molesters, much more likely to be gang members, much more likely to be terrorists. Under the Biden administration, CBP was instructed at the southern border, be on guard for Hamas and Hezbollah and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists coming across the border. Why? Because they've declared jihad, and because the Biden open border policies extended a red carpet for anyone that sought to do harm. Now, if you look at what the Trump administration has done, it didn't just slow the bleeding, it turned it around. Daily border encounters down 93%, encounters with gotaways down 95%, illegal alien crossings down over 99%. These are historic, the biggest improvement in border security in the history of the United States of America. And yet, not a single Democrat is here celebrating that. Not a single Democrat is saying, thank you that our families are safer. They don't want our families safer. The Democrats have decided instead to fly down to El Salvador and have margaritas with MS-13 gang members. I genuinely don't understand that. Find me a community in America, find me a mom in America who says, you know what we need? More gang members who are raping more little girls. And this crisis is not about numbers, it's about lives. Laken Riley, a beautiful 22-year-old girl in Georgia, murdered by an illegal immigrant the Democrats released. Jocelyn Nungary, as I mentioned, a beautiful 12-year-old girl in my hometown of Houston, murdered by 2 illegal immigrants the Democrats released. They had them in custody. Her murderers were in custody. The Democrats released them. Her murder was in custody. The Democrats released them. Rachel Marin was a mother of 5. Raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant the Democrats had in custody, and they released them. Over and over and over again. This was deliberate. And they're not alone. Border Patrol agent Javier Vega Jr., gunned down by Los Zetas gang members. ICE Special Agent Jaime Zapata, ambushed and murdered by cartel operatives. Kayla Hamilton, strangled to death by a member of MS-13. Their families are with us today. I want to say thank you. Thank you for having the courage to tell your loved ones' stories. And I'd like to just end by giving each of you an opportunity. Mr. Avila, I want to start with you, and then Ms. Nobles, and then Mrs. Vega. Tell this committee and tell the American people a little bit about Javier and Kayla and Victor. Mr. Avila.
Senator, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity. Every time I have the ability to speak publicly, I will always honor Special Agent Jaime Zapata, who was assassinated next to me.
Yeah.
He died serving the country. He died defending our homeland for everyone, not one side of the aisle or the other. But what I've continued to do in my life after I retired is, and my concern is about public safety. It's about national security that affects our entire community. I don't want anyone to be a victim of a crime. No one. But I cannot tolerate not one murder, not one DUI, not one theft or one rape from a person that is in this country illegally. We have enough in our country, enough of crime, and it's very difficult for me to accept that the Democrats always put the victims last. Let's not forget the victims.
Mrs. Vega, would you tell us about Javier, please? Please turn your microphone on.
Thank you for having me here. You know, I feel like you've known Harvey. You've been with us from the very beginning. You supported us. You've put our story out there. And you're compassionate, and I see that in your eyes, and I appreciate that. I also want to say that we do not, as angel moms, we do not do this for the publicity. We don't do it for the spotlight. We do it because we know the pain, and we don't want any other family suffering the pain that we've suffered. We're not supposed to outlive our children. I stop by the cemetery every day, and I visit his grave. But I miss his voice. I miss him sending me flowers. I shouldn't be the one taking flowers to his grave. I shouldn't be the one fighting for all this. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop till my last breath. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. Mrs. Nobles, would you tell us about Kayla, please?
Kayla just started her life independently. She worked very hard to become independent. I don't know if some of you know, with autism, they overcome behavioral issues. They overcome a lot of stuff to be productive, and she was being productive. She had jobs. She celebrated her 20th birthday. I remember her counting down her birthday. She loved her birthday. Mommy, I'm going to be 20 in a few days. Are you going to, and then I'm like, I know, don't remind me. She celebrated her 20th birthday with her JoJo Siwa cake. And 3 days later, she was murdered and strangled and left on the floor like trash. I didn't know no one prepares you for that phone call. And when I found out it was a known MS-13 gang member, I was angry. How in the world can that come into this country, that monster enter into our country? And I made it that day when I learned to continue on the path to bring justice to Kayla and also for the safety of others. Nothing prepares you on burying your child that hadn't had a chance to get married, have children, and she just bought a car before she was murdered, and nothing prepares you for that. And I'm going to continue fighting for Kayla and for others and the safety of others, because we do not know who had come across the border. They were not vetted in background check. And another thing is, how many of those UACs that came across the border were gang members? We don't know. And also all those children that were lost and given to, just given to any sponsor, any group home, how do we know that they were safe? Right. I've always said from the beginning, I was concerned with also the children, who they were giving those children to. They allowed her murderer to leave the sponsor's house. He left. They did not say or do anything. 3 months after Kayla was murdered, when he was going to high school and Child Protective Services, ORR filed a missing teen report on her murderer 3 months after she was killed. Did a sponsor say anything? I don't know. We don't know if the sponsor said anything or what happened. I think they were just trying to cover their butt because they knew that that Walter killed Kayla. And then they were like, oh, well, we better report him missing.
Yeah. Well, let me say to each of the witnesses here, thank you for being here, but especially Mr. Avila, Mrs. Nobles, Mrs. Vega, especially thank you for being here, and thank you for not only sharing your pain, but making clear these are real people whose lives were taken and they didn't have to die. They shouldn't have to die. And your government failed you. And I want to apologize on behalf of politicians who made decisions that I will never understand and that took the lives of your babies.